Hello friends, my name is Keisha, and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Canada and crossed it to the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father, Dale Richardson, we started the CARES Project, an Indigenous survivor-led movement for humanity. We are dedicated to exposing human trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. The judicial branch is broken. It has failed to restrain the evils that have come upon this republic. Whether it's family court failures, weaponization of the judiciary, COVID-era harms, or human trafficking, the courts have allowed these issues to continue unchecked for too long. One of the most powerful tools we're using is the petition for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in the founding principles of this country. On May 19, 2026, a formal petition for redress of grievances was submitted to the United States Congress. This petition is demanding that Congress and the President use the powers under Article 4, Section 4 to preserve this Republican form of government by restraining these abuses pending congressional investigation. Through the CARES Project Action Plan, we are mobilizing people across the United States to strengthen this effort. This petition has been created as a template. If you or someone you love have been hurt by these same systemic failures in the courts or by government institutions, your evidence matters. When you come forward, please bring your evidence along with a copy of the petition for redress of grievances. This helps connect your story to this growing constitutional record being placed before Congress. We are asking you to stand with us. Join the CARES Project Action Plan and help us build a precedent that demands accountability and protects the God-given rights of American families. Our united voices will compel Congress to uphold the Constitution and safeguard our liberties. United we stand, one nation under God. I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CARES Project podcast. Today we have with us Miss Ruby that is coming on to talk about a disgusting situation that should never happen in any country, but yet here we are. Welcome to the show. I'll let you introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Dale, for having me on. I appreciate it.
So can you tell us a little bit about what is going on with this situation? Because a friend of yours actually, let's pull up this video here. We'll watch a little bit of that first, and then we'll kind of discuss what is going on.
Free Britney now! Free Britney now!
Who can forget the chants of Free Britney? Millions watched as the singer tried to get herself freedom from a crooked guardianship.
The people who did that to me should not be able to walk away so easily.
She felt like a prisoner, and so does the guy you're about to meet.
All of this without due process. 22 different times I've asked for a lawyer.
We all know a mother's love knows no bounds. But fears kept Elizabeth Weston away for 2 long years, along with past threats of judges to arrest her. Fear of a courthouse she believes is corrupt because of the power of a very rich ex-husband. So for her, this was a moment to conquer that fear.
I have flown from Tennessee, secretly have flown in here, seen my son, because shamefully I'm required to do that. fly in secretly.
A Comal County court now controls Glen's life under an expensive court-ordered guardianship that has already cost millions. Movies have been made about the horrible things that can happen to people in guardianship.
I'm afraid it's not up to you to decide. The court has appointed me to be your legal guardian.
What?
We've done investigations before into the company getting rich, care for. Investigations, too, into judges who have ignored the warning signs of trouble.
Chance to talk to me, Mr. Thompson. You've been complaining about me all day. Here is your chance. I'm right here.
Glen Weston was once a world-class archer, renowned for his deadly aim. But now he's the target of a guardianship that claims he's insane, bipolar, schizophrenic.
I was sentenced with no limit. Could be here the rest of my life.
The pictures tell the story. Look at Glen just a couple of years ago. Look how his looks have changed under Care For's care. Is this what full-time care is supposed to do to you?
I've been forcibly injected many times. These are means, threat of punishment, or just being held down and forcibly injected.
Glen says he's now a virtual prisoner on this ranch in rural Marion, Texas, near New Braunfels. Forced to take medicine he says is making him sick, crazy. We talked on the front porch of his small cabin about his quest for freedom, his fight to be back near his mom.
I'd like to live on my own, frankly, and have my own life.
But you can't.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Forever.
It looks like it, yes.
I just want to kind of, looking at this, seeing this, the guy doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with him.
And there's not. There is absolutely nothing wrong with him. They managed to pull this off and have their doctors say, oh, yes, he's totally mental. Of course, you pay anybody enough money and they're going to say whatever. And they have done so many things illegally by taking him out of state, so many times. The whole thing has just been a total screw up. And this young man's life is in the balance. And how it all began was just so silly, but it can happen to anybody.
Wait, they took him out of state?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Without the judge's permission.
What? Why?
Yes.
Why did they say that? What reason did they give?
They gave the reason that there were no beds locally for a mental hospital. Now, understand, he was at his mother's house, sitting on the front porch, has never done anything wrong, no jail time, no beating, no anything that would say this. I think the most he might have wrong with him is ADHD. I think that's probably 80% of the country has that. But he's not violent, nothing. They took him by police force off the family porch and put him on a plane. The father did, a jet, flew him to Ohio. Now, the excuse of there was no beds locally, total lie. In a guardianship, you're not legally allowed to remove them out of state, number one. And then they took him up there to Ohio, and the mother didn't know where he was for quite a while. This has been a cat and mouse game that they've been playing with this young man because the father wants to hurt the mother because he knows what's going to happen.
So okay, let's get back to the game. How did he actually get into the custody of the state?
To tell this story, I'm going to kind of start from the beginning here because it takes just a little bit to understand. This family, just like any other family, started off, they had young children. They were living in a trailer house. He comes up with this idea for rack-based technology. Both of them came from money, had a little bit of money. They put money together and started this company that ended up selling for $4.3 billion a few years ago. So they instantly had all this money. But she homeschooled. They were very devout Catholics, extremely intelligent children. They're bilingual. They are Mensa level intelligence. Never been in trouble. Nothing. Just great family. I've known her for about 4 years, and everything I have listened to, I have looked into it and found that how abused this poor woman has been. And she didn't even realize how abused she was until a little bit later. But when he sold rack space, he started abusing her. She turned all that in. She filed for divorce, and that's when the ugliness began. She had, right before this, the city had served her with a document for, they wanted to take over their property and turn it into a water treatment facility. And she was the one that was the managing person for their properties. So she ended up suing the city and found out there was fraud. The mayor was trying to do this, saying the city needed it. He found out that there was a big hotel chain that wanted it. So he wanted to get it and then turn around and make millions. So that went to trial, and she was going to get millions of dollars. So there was a lot of upset in the family during this lawsuit and then into the divorce. Glen started seeing his father doing some very illegal things, was beating his mother. He came home late one night, pulled her out of bed, and just continued to rape her. And Glen was fighting him. So he was defending his mother. He was not doing anything wrong. But the father made it look horrible, you know.
Okay.
I know. It's hard. It's heartbreaking.
So the son is fighting the father because he's raping his mother.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Why is he not in jail?
Yeah.
Why is he not in jail?
Because he's a billionaire and he can pay everybody off, and he has. Absolutely, he has.
I understand that, but the law does not say that. I don't see anywhere in the Constitution that says you get a pass because you're rich, because you're bribing people.
Well,
that's a crime.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was even before all this a moment where one of the kids' dogs got out, and somebody walking by their house attacked, ate this person's hand up. And in that case, you know, the police would come out, the dog would have to have, you know, tests done, all these different things. No police, no nothing, and paid the guy off. And now they're big buds. And the wife of that man is now our county judge. Imagine that. So it's been a real, hey, I'll help you get into office if you help me get what I want. And he has done that, whether it be through city council, mayors, properties, whatever. He has bought everybody off. Everybody.
Are they finally divorced, or are they still going through it?
No, they divorced. But before the divorce finished, she couldn't get a lawyer to stick around. They never did a deposition. They never did anything. It was almost like he went in and said, look, I will give you more if you just don't take care of her. I mean, it was crazy. She's had to go to the Bar Association to report these attorneys because she would give them like $150,000 to get started, and they did nothing. One of them was found guilty for that. But when she won that big lawsuit, it was for millions of dollars. In a divorce, I don't know about Canada, but in Texas, when you file for a divorce, you are not supposed to move money, sell anything, do anything. Yes. Everything needs to be status quo so everybody knows.
Yes.
Unless you're Graham Weston. He goes to the Secretary of State and changes that she's not the person that owns the property. He does, takes her name off, then 16 days before the trial goes in to the county courthouse, and you can understand, everybody knows everybody that's going on. And he walks in and he non-suits this case for giving the entire city, the judges, everybody, millions of dollars right before this trial. And she didn't know about this. We didn't find out about this until this last week. And so she thought it happened the week after. When he did that, I mean, he owned everybody. So she shows up in court, and there's the judge. And she says, I'm sorry, sir, but you're going to have to recuse yourself. I've sued you and won. And he goes, no, I think I can be fair. and he ended up hearing the case. He never let her show anything. She never was able to get a deposition. She was trying to show that she was part owner in rack space. All of these things. They had been married 27 years. And at the end of this, her son was supposed to be testifying. He was going to tell about his father going to the bank and getting money out of his trust fund, which had supposed to have both parents signing. Not when you're Graham Weston. It doesn't matter. He gets to do anything he wants to. So the son was getting ready to get up there and testify for his mother, and an attorney came up to her that was supposedly for her and said, look, they're going to tear him up there. And the mother was just horrified. She loves her children. I mean, that's all there is to it. And they said, look, the best way to protect him is to do this guardianship.
Who said this?
This was an attorney that came to her in the courtroom before he was supposed to testify and said, look, the best thing you can do, that way the husband couldn't get to his money and he could be protected. So it was only supposed to be for 2 months. And she signed off on that, thinking, okay, this is good. We'll have a third-party person watching over the money and everything else to make sure that her son was fine.
Who was the lawyer?
Little did she realize it was going to be forever.
Who was the lawyer who told her this? Because he's lying.
I don't know the name. Oh, yeah. And come to find out, it was the lawyer for this group called Care For. So it was not in her best interest. And it wasn't for 2 months. It was forever. And she's like, that's not what I agreed to. So there was no reason for them to come and pick this young man up off the front porch when this all happened. But at the end of the divorce, he gets all the billion, everything. There's 10 houses. There's all this money. She gets a used car that one of the boys had just wrecked. No money, no house, no nothing. I mean, I know she slept on friends' couches. This woman is a billionaire's wife, and they gave everything. And in the state of Texas, it's 50-50. But this judge is going to swing the husband's way because he forgave him.
This is just, it's pissing me off listening to it because, I mean, this should never happen. This should never happen.
Oh, absolutely should never happen. Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you something. With some of this stuff sounds familiar to me because I've dealt with some of it. Like my ex-wife, she's just supposedly a regular person. But when it came down to my divorce hearing, which coincided with me like suing the government and the police for their failure to look after what needed to be done, they took everything. They literally submitted forged documents to a judge that were clearly fraudulent because my name was there, but someone else's signature, and they used this to transfer the title to my house using a provision that was not allowed in divorces in Canada, right? And then they went ahead and tried to do it behind my back. They got caught, but they still went through it anyway, and everybody blocked everything, removed evidence, wouldn't let me speak, blocked me from the court so they could continue to do this fraud. And my youngest daughter, who's turned 7 in February, I haven't seen her for 6 years because of this. And I understand this type of thing. So this is a criminal organization. This is not just, yes, he might be paying them, but they were doing this before. This is not the first time these people are doing this, and this is a well-oiled machine. And all of the people that are involved, they need to be prosecuted for the maximum punishment available by the law. And with the judges, they need enhanced punishment. Like, I mean, this is deprivation of rights under color of law. This is what I see explicitly. And it is a criminal organization, 100%.
It absolutely is. And when all this started happening, and I heard about this company Care For, based in Austin, Texas, I started looking them up, and there ended up being 2 YouTube videos by a reporter that I actually personally know. And I started watching them, and I ended up knowing people on there. And I'm like, I didn't know these people had been taken in by this company. So one of them I contacted, and it was sad. The woman had ended up passing away, but she was living in New Braunfels, Texas. She had lived in California, but her mother had passed, so she was living in that house. She had gone to the doctor because she was feeling a little weak, ended up being low on some vitamins. No big deal. Woman's fine. Someone came to the house just to check on her. They find out she doesn't have a husband or children. 2 weeks later, there are police there removing her from her home. And she's like, what are you doing? And they take her and put her into a nursing home. She has no rights, no nothing. Her friends from California flew in, said, this is not right. We will take over. We will be her guardian. There was even an attorney in San Antonio that tried to help and said she can even come and work for me. And they wouldn't allow it. This judge would not allow it. They turned around, sold her home, sold everything in it, got all of her retirement, everything. She died 4.5 years later in that nursing home. And there's no accountability for anything because there's no family around to ask. Nothing. And the friends, I mean, it's sad.
You know who Casey Kasem is, right?
Yes. It's almost identical to that. Yeah.
Yes, they did this to him, right?
Yes.
Like doesn't matter. This is literally, it's a racket. This is no different than the mafia, except they're using the government to do it, and the courts and so forth to do this, and they're stealing people's money. The probate court, it's criminal to no end. And the judges are the ones that are allowing this to happen. The judges have a responsibility to make sure it doesn't happen. But anyway, I mean, this is.
I don't understand. Yeah.
No,
how a company can walk into court and tell a judge, we're charging $40,000 a month for Glen. And there's not even people there watching. He's being watched by camera. They leave this pill box full of narcotic medicines. And he has to call them on a Zoom call, and they have to watch him take his medicine at night.
You know what that's
called?
it.
You know
what that's called?
It's
called money laundering.
What?
They're doing some criminal activity and they're laundering money. They're stealing money. This is fraud, and they're laundering the money.
Well, ironically, the place that they had put him at in Houston, Texas, was in the Montrose area. And right next to this place was a massage parlor that Glen took video of, that at night it would be young girls like 10 to 14 years old dressed in wedding dresses and men showing up and disco balls and disco and all that kind of stuff. But he didn't find out what happened at the end because they had drugged him and he would go to sleep. But we have video of all that activity going on. And I'm like, who owns this property? And it got sold about the time that Graham sent him over there. You know, it was just so weird. There's a lot of things that are happening that are crossing over into this. And it makes me wonder what all exactly is being covered up, because this money is ridiculous that they're charging. The other person that I saw in that video of my friend Wayne Delchavino is somebody I've known for 26 years. Beautiful girl. They've been married for 25 years. And there's just a knock at their door one day.
Just let me ask you a question. Who's paying the $40,000 a month?
It is coming out of Glen's trust fund. There were trust funds set up by grandparents and then 2 from the parents. So there's several millions of dollars there. And it's just being depleted.
Okay, when we're done here, we'll talk. I mean, I know exactly what is going on, and this needs to be dealt with. This is not just, we're going to just put it out. This needs criminal investigation. All the people involved, they need to be arrested, because they're doing the grossest things to people. And what's happening, how they do this, they're draining the money. They're doing this as a criminal enterprise, and they're charging so much money each month because people are getting kickbacks from that because everybody gets paid from this, right? This is how criminal
Oh,
operations work.
absolutely.
And so they're taking $40,000 by sticking him in a place where they have cameras around him, and then everybody else is going to get their hands, that get their cut so that they can keep the gravy train flowing and keep the racket protected. This is how this works.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And yet the father lives about 12 minutes from that house. Now, as a mother, if my child is sick, I would have them in my house. I would want to keep an eye on them. I'm not going to send them into the middle of nowhere on a ranch with nobody else around, knowing that he's getting a shot that is setting him on fire and he's having to call 911 because he's so ill. And I'm thinking, this father is leaving that child. And I don't care if he's 29 years old, he's still a child, crying on the floor because he's in so much pain. How cruel is that? I mean, it is awful. And I'm thinking, oh, God, I want to scream when I talk about this because this young man is such a good kid. He really is. When they had him in Houston, they didn't know what to do with him because he was so good. So they gave him a 2-hour break. I don't know if it was every day or during the week, but he would leave there by a bus and he would go downtown Houston and he would attend classes at the Catholic Church to finish his education there and then come back in time. Now, does that sound like somebody who's a bad kid? No, absolutely not.
But he was homeschooled. This is a problem because in the current situation, and there's a lot of indoctrination going on, because I know from when I was in school and I look at the world today, this is insane. And I look at what they did in school, like with my oldest daughter, I saw the stuff they tried to push on her. I was like, absolutely not. I'm like, you're young, you're confused, that's normal. You're going to grow up, you're going to grow out of it, and you'll be fine. Listen to me, and she was like, well, I'm glad I didn't do that stupidity you were pushing on me in school. And I'm like, yeah, because you would have regretted it, and I'd be an idiot if I did that to you because I have capacity and understand. And the what they're doing is insane. So when you homeschool your kids are not going to be subject to the propaganda that they're pushing down their throats. They're not. Because, I mean, you're seeing kids coming out of school and they don't know whether they're coming or going. And that's a product of the school system because this didn't happen 30 years ago. It just did not. So then they're going to target. Then on top of it, he wants to do things that are good. He stands up against his father to protect his mother. Even when he's drugged, he's filming these guys here. They don't want people like this out there if you're running a criminal enterprise. Because if you're running a criminal enterprise and people want to do what's right, they're going to expose it. And they don't want that happening. This is a lot of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing, because the father, he doesn't care about his kid. Like, I mean, if he's doing this kind of stuff, he's like, who cares? I'll let him get drugged all high hell because he knows there's nothing wrong with his son. He knows it. And if he tries to say otherwise, he's lying. He's only doing it because he wants to protect himself in the filthiness that he's doing. That's the end of the story. There's no other reason.
And in this clip that you just showed, it said that Elizabeth had to fly in the silence. Now, I've been a dear friend of Elizabeth's for 4 years, and she is in hiding now because that man is following her, and he wants to not have her be able to try to fight him in court or do anything. He wants her penniless. I mean, he wants her on her knees, and that woman is fighting and fighting. And one thing that Dib Waldrop did, this is their divorce judge that should have never heard the case. She had her attorney go for one of the hearings, and he said, well, where's Elizabeth? And she didn't have to be there. Her attorney was there. And he said, if she doesn't come back, I'm going to put a warrant out for her arrest. That was uncalled for. There's no reason. There was no law she broke, no nothing. But they wanted her back in the state of Texas because when she went to go visit her son in Ohio, they gave her papers, said, you need to sign all this, and these are the rules to visit. And thank God she really read over it, unlike what happened in court. And had she signed everywhere that they asked, it was going to put her into a guardianship with them. And so she is like, you are not going to take me. You're not going to hide me. And that's exactly what would have happened. So she is in Tennessee because that's where she has filed for guardianship of her son. And that case is still pending. But when all of this started happening, she flew in, she stayed with me. And I got up that morning and I said, we're going to go see him. And she goes, but I'm afraid, what if there's cameras and stuff? And I'm like, hey, we're going to run in and run out. And we did. We were literally there for 10 minutes. She called him. He said, bring breakfast tacos. So that's what we did. And just literally ran in. And she had not seen him in that long. But he texted her and he texted me too. And is like, thank you so much for getting my story out there. He is a devout Catholic. He's got faith, and thank God he does, because I don't know anybody else who could go through this like this young man. But he's ready to have his life. I mean, he's had literally, if you think about it, almost 15% of his life has been held in captivity now.
How long
I mean, he
there?
doesn't get to date. 4 years.
What?
He's been trapped in this for 4 years. 4 years. From taking them to Ohio, to Tennessee, to Houston, 4 years. And he's supposed to be able to get an attorney. The judge has denied him.
I saw that 22
That's
times.
against his legal rights. 22 times he has asked for an attorney. Yes. And has been denied every time.
What's the name of the judge?
Says the judge is Judge Charles Stevens. Okay. And his little girl that sits next to him, they just stamp everything. They don't look at where that $40,000 gets spent. And that's just for care for. That didn't include the attorneys and all the other people. I mean, it's ridiculous, the monies that they're charging for this. Now, I know good guardianship companies that really and truly, somebody's incapacitated and everything. I get that. It is a necessary thing. But this young man is not incapacitated. He is not crazy. And just to keep him drugged is absolutely ridiculous.
What was the name of the lawyer that talked to her and told her to put her son in there? What was that lawyer's name?
I honestly do not know that person's name.
But
they do work. I will try to find it.
Oh yes,
I will.
Because
that
lawyer committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And a serious crime,
yes.
And they're responsible for all of this. And they should spend the rest of their natural life in prison, never seeing the light of day, because they gave wrong advice, right? Which to do something, to put somebody in a situation where they would never get out, and it was not necessary at all. You would never do that. You let them come into court and let them hear what the son had to say about what he was doing. And then what are you going to do? You're going to take away the money from the child who was protecting his mother from a rapist? Are you nuts? I mean, people would show up in the court with their guns. They'd be like, what are you doing? Because I don't care who you don't look. I'm not protecting people like that. Nobody should. They need to get
This whole case was so blatantly obvious of what was going on. We had I believe he was a senator, Bob Kruger, had passed away during the time of the trial. And Elizabeth was good friends with his wife. Elizabeth had planned, because everybody in town, I mean, literally the town was closing down to go to this funeral. And Dib Waldrop said, you're staying here, and I'm keeping a guard on you, and locked her in the courtroom while he and Graham walked out together, got in their car, went to the church together, and went to the funeral. Comes back together, walking together on the sidewalk, talking, giggling, and she didn't get to attend. That's against the law. So everything that was happening was totally judicial misconduct in the worst way. And then when this thing happens to Glen and it goes to Judge Stevens, these judges need to meet these people that they're getting ready to put in somewhere. They need to see these people with their own eyes, because you look at Glenn and you look at, he's never been arrested. He's never done anything bad. He doesn't do drugs, nothing. This is a good kid. And what did they do? They just put him in. They just take him out of state.
That's why they did it. That's literally why they did it. Like when I whistle blew from COVID, I started to deal with people who got their kids taken, like trafficking victims and all these different types of things. And I knew there was corruption. Like, I'm a Christian. Bible tells you that this is going to be this way, but the level of corruption, I was astounded. I didn't realize that it was this complete. And so these things, whenever somebody's trying to help someone or trying to do what's right, they punish them. Like, you shouldn't get punished for following the law. Like, I understand if you break the law, you should get punished. You do something I fully support that. But if you're upholding the law, you should never be punished. The law is there to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. Why are you punishing innocent people for following the law? This is, but when I sit down and I see this, and this is an offensive case, but this is what's happening in multiple places. This has got to tell you something seriously wrong is going on. And something needs to be done about it.
It's so bad that once the divorce was over, Greg Abbott, our governor, appointed Dib Waldrop to the Judicial Committee, Oversight Committee for all of the judges in Texas.
Oh, really?
So you can't even report this guy because he sits on there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm like, you're kidding me. But no, he did. Just right after that, he did that. So funny how Graham Weston is a heavy contributor to the governor and all these other people. He has contributed to their causes and to their campaigns. I was at a party the other night, and he's standing there with the DA and all these other people. And I'm like, they are so sucking up to him because everything in town that he wants, he gets. He gets to build extra buildings. They give him all kinds of tax benefits, everything. I mean, there's a report that the city of San Antonio gave him a huge tax deal on Rackspace, and Rackspace ended up selling, and they never paid back that tax, that tax money.
Okay, so couple of questions. When did he get appointed by Abbott?
Right after the divorce.
And how long it was?
I don't know the actual date, but right after the divorce.
Do you have an idea roughly how, what year it was, or how many years ago it was?
Probably 4 years ago. Probably about 4 years ago now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So, yeah, this is just insane. So so Elizabeth and her ex-husband, they started this business. She put money into it. He did a lot of the work. Yes. She stayed home, homeschooled the kids. So they get divorced. He takes everything and transfers it to his name. He hides stuff. He gets everything. She gets nothing. The son that has money, she now has him put incompetent and is taking that trust money to be funneled out to all these people who are drugging him against his will when he has nothing wrong with him.
Correct.
So,
and
he's stealing his ex-wife's money.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were married. They both contributed. Half of that belongs to her.
Yes, sir. In the state of Texas, it is a 50-50 state. And it doesn't matter.
And because his son would be protecting his mother, he wanted to make sure that his money was taken away. That's why he's in it.
Yes. Yeah. And the other things, I'm sure, that I have heard, that because I cannot verify, I'm not going to mention on here, but it is extremely federal illegal. But because he owned Rackspace, and I'm sure that because of the technology that he had, that the FBI and all these other big groups probably use part of that. And they're probably like, look, we can't go after this guy because he's done stuff for us. You know, I mean, it's sucking up everywhere. And I got to tell you, and this is just me, but when the Jeffrey Epstein list came out, I was waiting to read that name, but I haven't seen anybody's name on that list, and it could be, I don't know. But he was flying everywhere. He met all these people, went to a lot of the same parties that we hear about. So I don't know, but he had this whole second life that Elizabeth knew nothing about. She just thought that he was working and doing this rack space. And when this divorce happened, how she got literally homeless. I mean, it's beyond me. But that judge had no problem doing that to her. And ever since then, every single thing that they have gone to court for, he has knocked down. Absolutely knocked down. And he shouldn't be hearing these things at all. And then Judge Stevens, who is over the guardianship case, he also was Shelley Thompson, the lady that I said was in the nursing home. He was overseeing that case as well. So I'm like, okay, this is really weird. Same group, lots of money. You know, people come and say, we want to take her. We will do that. He should have let those people do that. Those were her friends. She was not declared mental at all, but they decided they knew what was best for her, just like you see in these movies. There's this other case I want to make sure that I tell you about, and it was the lady that I said I saw on the video. I've known her for years, had no idea this was going on, and when I had my bad wreck, she called me. We had lost touch, and she said, yeah, her husband had had a little heart bleep thing that he had been in the hospital, came home, and there was a knock on the door, and it was cared for, and there were officers there, but they left him in the house. Now, he is, at that time, had $120 million in assets. They had done well for themselves. He was extremely good. He was a retired colonel, smart man, loved him to pieces. And they removed her. They walked in, put her clothes in trash bags, and hauled her out and said, you can't be here. And she's like, this is my husband. You can't throw me out of my own house. And I'll be damned if they didn't. So she couldn't see him. They said people that wanted to come by, they were limiting. He was crying, going, I want to see my friends. I want to see my wife. Wouldn't do it.
You still have contact with this woman?
Absolutely. She's the one who's helping me in the podcast. Yes.
I would like to speak with her.
Absolutely.
I mean,
sadly.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sadly, Colonel Roper died in February. They called her and said, do you want to see him before he goes? And of course, she's been begging to see him this whole time. He literally was gasping by the time she got there. He wasn't going to make it for another few hours, and he didn't. So it was very sad that he was alone during that time when they knew he was dying. He was in his late 90s. And it is so sad they couldn't have family, couldn't have friends, none of this. So he dies. She couldn't have a funeral. Get this, could not have a funeral because they were holding everything. Here it is 6 months later. She still hadn't been able to get into the house. She still doesn't have her money. She still doesn't have her properties. And I saw the paper that they gave about 2 weeks after he died, and it was for a year from May of 24 to May of 25. And it had a list. Seriously, it was like a kindergartner put this thing together, and it said, care for cost $65,000 a month is how much care for charged to have somebody who is minimum wage just go sit there with him all day long, 24/7. They gave him frozen pizzas, fed him crap, wouldn't give vitamins, nothing. It was just waiting for him to die. It was so sad. Attorney's fees, all these different things. And at the very top, it said, and an extra $1 million a year to cover anything that we might have forgotten. And she finds out all they have left now is $30 million. So they have spent in 4.5 years, $90 million.
Hey.
And they didn't need that to care for him. Where the hell is all this stuff? There's no answer to this.
No.
And the attorneys got commission on selling stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You know, what you're describing, what you're describing is an extreme criminal operation. somebody in the hospital or some medical person told them and tipped them off to come there. And then they went ahead and did this. That judge, I guarantee you, he's got a lot of dirty ties and a lot of dirty money coming to him in a lot of different ways. Guarantee it.
That judge is the head judge, Guy Herman, over all of Texas, because this was such a large estate. He gets the big ones. And it was his child from a former marriage who didn't even see him for years, found out they had a heart attack and was like, you know what? I think he needs to be in a guardianship to make sure they got money. But he didn't need a guardianship. He didn't need anybody watching his money. He fought. He said, I am fully intact. I am not mentally challenged. This is my life. I want it. And they denied him all of his rights. He just ended up sitting there for 4.5 years in that house alone with a minimum wage person that he didn't even know watching him die.
And they probably helped him.
And $90 million is gone. $90 million is gone.
They deprived him of his life, and they to steal his money, and destroyed his life, destroyed his wife.
Yeah.
These people,
and that's not what a guardianship is supposed to do. And a guardianship is supposed to help a family stay together and do things and make sure everything runs smoothly. Not this company. They take your life. Absolutely.
This is a criminal
organization. When I
organization.
started fighting this, it's horrible. When I started fighting this, and I did a video on Facebook telling about Shelley Thompson and about her being at the nursing home, I got a call from a gentleman. He said, I need your help. And I told him, I said, look, I just am looking into this. He said, you need to be our voice. So that's how I kind of fell into this. But in Caldwell County here in Texas, this woman who's 75, she's diabetic, but she takes care of it. It's just one of those things. She takes insulin. She has 2 boys. They're in their 50s. One takes good care of the mother. The other one's like, you need just to go to a nursing home and I want to take all this. And she's like, no, I'm fine. Leave me alone. This is my stuff. He contacts Care4. He and Care4 go to the courts. She's not sick. She's not seen a doctor, but they're able to walk into that court and tell that judge, we need a guardianship over her, and he grants it. They go over there. She's working her cattle out in her field. They call her to the house. There's officers there, and they remove her from her home. They didn't even have a place for her to stay. They took her to 3 different Airbnbs out of state, so the good son couldn't find her. And then they found a place in Seguin, Texas by the name of Windsor Nursing Home, and it's a mental hospital nursing home. They put her in there, and she's not allowed to even have people there. Her good son was delivering good food to her because they didn't even know what kind of diet she needed because of the diabetes. And she can't even talk to anybody. Their friends have tried and have fought this. I've called Adult Protective Services. I have had words with them. And they said, well, we went and looked at the paperwork. And I said, well, did you see where this doctor said she's not mental? And they said, no. And I believe Care4 took papers out of there because it was in that file. And I said, well, did you meet with her? And they go, oh, no, we didn't meet with her. I said, you went to the nursing home and you didn't even bother to go see her, talk to her, see what's going on? And they said, no, we don't do that. And I'm like, then you're not truly investigating. I said, this woman is not mental. She needs to be able to go back with her family. And they've just totally ignored it.
They have no desire to investigate. They don't. Because a lot of the people that are involved in these, a lot of government agencies have people that are criminals that are in there. Maybe they may not have started as criminals, but they certainly became criminals because of whatever the issue is. And this is why they allow certain people to be put in certain situations, like, for example, DEI people who have no hope of being able to compete in that field because they're terrible at whatever it is they do. Well, you want to keep your job? Well, turn the other way. You might make a couple extra bucks because you're never going to get promoted. There you go. Now you've got people, or when you bring in people who like for example, the illegal immigrants or somebody who is newly immigrated. And I've seen this happen in a lot of places. They threaten their immigration status if they don't do what they say. And this is also how they get it. And they're just people who are just stone cold criminals and don't even care. So it doesn't matter how it happens, but these are the things that they use to make it happen. And when I sit down and see what the judges are doing, the judges that are involved in this, because I guarantee you they've killed people. And with what you're talking about with your friend there with her husband, they killed him. They cut his life off. You cut people off from their family, they're going to die faster. You put them under those conditions, they're going to die faster. And I'm sure that's not the only person. When you're talking about things like deprivation of rights under color of law, when people die, that's the death penalty. And that's what those people need, because until they get the death penalty and realize there's no immunity for them, they're going to keep doing this filth. This stuff drives me insane, because when you go to a place like a court, you're supposed to get help. It's like if you're running as a rape victim and the police come in and they rape you. This is exactly the same type of thing. This needs a hard course correction. And the only thing that's going to, when they start seeing people getting hauled out and executed for their crimes, then it'll stop.
Judges have so much power, and they use that to threaten people, going, don't mess with me. I'm going to rule my way. This is it. And everybody's scared to death. And I've had several people mention to me, aren't you scared? And I said, you know what? I don't have anything. I'm just an older lady that has a voice. I am not, as a Christian woman, going to allow this young man to just sit there and be hurt like this. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell the truth. And if it pisses people off, that's fine. I don't care. I'm not scared of these judges. They need to be scared of me, because I'm contacting everything I can, every news group, every podcaster, everything, starting one myself so that I can tell the stories of this. Glen Weston is a fabulous young man. And yes, he knows some stuff about his father, and his father is that scared. And anybody who would put their child into this situation and to hurt an ex-wife, I mean, I know he's mad at her, but you know what? Get over it. People get divorced. He got everything. Leave her alone. She is probably one of the most pure people I've ever met. And she's scared. I don't blame her.
There's no excuse for what they've done. And as a father, there's no excuse for what he's done. You don't do this to your children. You have to seriously go against your natural tendencies, because we're wired to protect. This is the way we are as men. When I had a child, I was like, I would die for you in an instant. And it was just not even a second thought, because if I had to protect my child, I would do this. But this is so depraved in doing this to your own child. Like, I have no love, no sympathy, no whatsoever. There's no excuses, no benefit of the doubt. You do this type of thing, you just get what's coming to you, and that's it. Because I have two children, and I would do anything to protect them, not harm them. Yeah, sure, we make mistakes and do things unintentionally, but these people are doing deliberate harm to just destroy them? No.
Yeah.
No mercy. I'm sorry.
At one point, it was so bad after he had taken this shot that he called 911. The police, fire, and then the father and Care Force show up. A mental health officer was there and somebody else, and they came out and said, no, he's really ill. It's not a mental breakdown or anything. He needs to go to the hospital. And they denied him the chance to go to the hospital. The father and Care Force left him there for several hours. Later on, the father's secretary, who's not a guardian, who's not a nurse, picked him up and took him to one of these quick urgent care places, where she goes into the room with him and videotapes he and the doctor. He can't even be alone with the doctor. The doctor said, we need to do some blood work and a urine test. And she said, absolutely not. Denied him medical treatment. And so the doctor just gave him some stomach medicine. But they did not want them to find out what kind of drugs they were administering to him, because I'm sure they would have reported it. But I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't call and say, look, guys, something's really weird here. This guy is being held against his will. You know, he has no attorney. He has nobody that will speak for him. A guardianship in Texas, once a year, you're supposed to have a third-party doctor come in and examine to see if you're the same, better, or worse, and report that to the courts. Not somebody that Care4 chooses, a third-party person. And Elizabeth, when she did have him, she got him off of all those meds, had him retested, showed that to the courts, and Judge Stevens does not care. He just wants to keep that boy in a guardianship. And it's illegal. It is wrong what they are doing to this young man. And I will fight it till my last breath, because this young man does not deserve what he is getting. And I wish at the end of this that Graham Weston would have to take the shots and have those pills just for a week and see what that poor young man had to go through, because he's done this to this kid for 4 years. And Care4 is just draining this young man's account. The bank has no right to have allowed the father to even go get money. And then when the guardianship got done, they get access to everything. So they've got millions to tap into. And I know that because he and his mom are so close, that Graham's doing this to drain all that so that way Glen could not help his mother.
Yes.
Because he does not want Elizabeth to be able to stand up. And she is a wonderful woman. And she's in hiding. And
that's an extremely predatory, depraved thing to do. This is what they did to me so they could go after my daughters. My oldest daughter, she was trafficked. That was the one who was talking in the video at the beginning. She was trafficked throughout the United States, and it started here in Canada. And I was left with my hands tied behind my back. And my youngest daughter, like I said, I haven't seen her for 6 years as a result of this. This type of thing that you're seeing here, this is a network of criminal organization, and they all work together.
Yes.
And this isn't going to stop until they get stopped. This doesn't end until every single one of those guys starts getting hauled out in handcuffs, because I don't care. I'm like, you took my kid, you destroyed me, whatever else, you damaged my child for life. The only way this ends is either you're going to go and get the justice and the judgment that's coming to you, or I'm going to die trying. Because, I mean, I serve God, and God does not tolerate this filth. Yes, God's going to finally throw these people in hell, but before then, they need to be stopped, because innocent people are suffering, and people's lives are being destroyed, and they're protecting people who are pedophiles, rapists, and all the vilest people, and punishing people who are trying to stand up and do what's right. I just can't stand
I don't know how these judges go home at night or go to a function and proudly tell about their job that they're doing when they know that they've got a young man who's laying on the floor screaming in pain because they've allowed this guardianship to drug him. How do you sleep at night? How do you even think that you're doing a good job? There is no way. And the irony of all this is, because I'm part of the Republican women's group there, I helped get these guys into these positions, because at that time I thought they were good guys. And they have the power that no one's even run against them since then. Well, I guarantee you that's going to change. And I am hoping that somehow through the attorney's, AG's office or something, that I can get these people investigated and get them out of these jobs, because it is wrong.
Oh, yes.
You just can't take these people's lives like this. I mean, sadly, right now, because I've had an accident, they could come and knock at the door and say, you can't walk very well. I think you need a guardian, and take me out. And what would I do? What would I do to fight it? You know, that would keep me quiet. That's what they would think. And I'm not mental. I'm not any of these things. Neither is Glen. Glen is a highly intelligent young man that's being drugged. And how this is happening in the United States, in our country, is absolutely berserk. And everybody goes, you know, it wouldn't happen to anybody I know. Well, I'm in a small town, and I know 4 people.
Oh, yes.
Now, that's scary.
Yes. That
is scary.
this is far more common than anybody thinks. People think that, oh, no. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she was in a domestic. She got beaten 6 ways from Sunday by her ex-husband. And instead of giving her help, they pushed her in a mental hospital where they were forcing drugs on her. Instead of giving her help for domestic violence, she got sexually assaulted in that hospital. When I came down there, I'm like, the drugs you're giving her are making her worse. You're going to get her out of here because this is not where she should be. And I just was like, absolutely not. The doctor was like, because I brought my laptop, I'm like, going to take notes here. And he's like, no. They just said, get her out. They kicked her out. And when she was drugged wore off, she was fine. But you're seeing this type of thing happen. And you're seeing it happen to certain types of people. The people that are doing all of this wickedness, they're not doing this to them. They're doing it to people who are trying to help people or trying to do good or something like this. This tells you, like, the evil that I see here, the only words I can use to describe it is satanic, because you can't sit down and act like you're doing a great job when you know you're destroying people and torturing them, because that's what this is. You drug people and you're torturing them, and you're doing this with the power of the state.
When that news report came out and Judge Stevens saw this young man explaining that his skin is on fire, they are drugging him, this is what they're doing. Why, if he wasn't guilty of all this, would he not pick up the phone and say, where is this kid? I'm going to go see him. I want to see what the hell's going on. Because I guarantee you, if I was a judge and then I found out this was happening to somebody that I put into a guardianship and thought I was doing right by them, I would want to go see this for myself and say, no, we're not doing this. I'd be calling everybody in saying, this is not happening. If they needed to transfer to a different guardianship company or do whatever until they could figure everything out. But I would go and see for myself what the hell I had done to put that child into that environment and what is going on, because it is so wrong. I mean, if you did it and didn't realize what was going on, that's one thing. But they know now. They know what's happening and they're doing nothing. They're just sitting there and going, I can't talk about this. Well, you know what? We're going to talk about it. And we're going to tell everybody what you did, never seeing this young man, denying his rights, and keeping him where he is.
I'm going to tell
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, and people should go and read the human trafficking laws under Title 18. Look up peonage and how you get there, and how they talk about improper use of the legal system in the human trafficking laws. When you look at what they're doing, and they're driving people into financial ruin, that is peonage. When they're using these things and you're not getting due process, and you're watching a systematic, same problems across multiple places, you're looking, this is trafficking. Don't kid yourself, because they're making profit off of destroying these people financially, and they're drugging them on top of it to take their money. These are serious crimes. This is not a state level crime. This is a federal level crime, and they need to be dealt with. And this is the thing with the petition that that my daughter was talking about. We outlined the pattern of their behavior, and this happens 100%. Spotted in an instance. I can look at what a judge is doing, looking at his orders, and I'll know exactly what's going on. I've looked at this so many times. And they need to be dealt with. There's only one way to solve this. I cannot stand this, because they have the highest responsibility. A judge is there so that if the state, the executive or the legislative branch, is exceeding what they're supposed to do, you should go in there and be able to restrain them. That is what a judge is there for, to judge in favor of the Constitution and the law. But this is not what happens. And now the judges are now exercising will and using the force of the executive in a manner that they were never designed to do. This is not even just a court issue. This is a political issue. And this is where they need to bring the hammer down. This is why they need to clean up what's in the corruption in the court. they have to use Article 4, Section 4. That's the only way you're going to be able to do this. They have to. If they don't, you'll never clean it up.
You know, I had no idea how systemic this issue was and how attorneys are getting so much money through Care For and doing this. Wayne Delchifino, that did the story that you just showed, one of the very first ones was talking about a woman who was in her late 80s, and Care For took them. The family fought for the grandmother and the mother and said, look, you know, we want her back. What is it going to take? And she was mentally fine. And they just left her, took her 2.5 hours away from her family and everything. But this woman had 1,000 acres in the part of Texas that has shale with oil underneath it. She was worth $12 million. They were milking it big time. And so the daughter finally said, what the hell is it going to take to get our mother back? And the attorneys said, we'll take that 1,000 acres. So that's what they did. They took the 1,000 acres and then gave the mother back to the family. So it just tells you she was never in a bad situation. She was never mental or anything else. They just said, okay, we'll trade you. That's buying a human.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh yeah, it's buying a human. And I'm like, how does this happen?
But it's also extortion.
But yeah.
Because they take your family,
absolutely.
start stealing the money, and they're like, if you want to see your family back, then just give us the money.
Yeah. Yeah. And who do you report that to? Because they've got all this money over here. I'm going to pay you off so that you don't get me in trouble. You know, I mean, it's just pay after pay after pay. There is a whole line of all of this. And Graham Weston was big into the Bitcoin stuff. So I know that when it first started, you couldn't even figure out where any money was going or being transferred or anything else. And I know that he was doing a lot of stuff online that was very questionable that Glen knows about, that,
you know,
the feds would want to know, but they don't listen.
Oh, well, we'll talk after. But I'll tell you, when I first saw Bitcoin, the reason why I didn't use it, because if I did it right now, I would have been wealthy, very wealthy right now. But I was like, all I see people using this are criminals that are doing shady stuff.
Yes.
The government didn't want to see. So I'm like, I'm not going to associate myself with that. Just no. Right now it's more commonplace. But at the time when I saw Bitcoin, it was just for shady business. Right. And so
Yes.
I was like, I don't want to deal with that. So I get it. When somebody's doing a lot of that kind of stuff, and when I look at what's being said here and what a man is allowing his child to be put in there to, yeah, he's not of any good character. Like, I don't even care. I know people that are criminals that would never do this. They would never do this. They would protect their kids, but they won't do this. And this is where it comes down to, where I would feel safer with people who are in the penitentiary than people who are supposed to protect us, because they're doing worse than what the people in a lot of the criminals in jail, not all of them, but a lot of criminals would never do this.
All right. Yeah. And God forbid you're a pedophile and the prisoners there will take it out on you going, don't mess with kids.
Yes.
And even though Glen is now 29 years old, he's still a young man. He still hasn't been able to enjoy life, have a girlfriend, get married, have kids. God only knows what all these meds are doing to him. He may not be able to have, children later. We don't know what this is going to do to him. This has taken his life. He would love to have a job. He would love to have a car, anything, just be a young man, have his own money back. No, his father has promised him, this ranch is going to be yours and all this kind of stuff. And it's all a lie. It's just to placate him to behave and to stay there. And I got a text from Glen tonight and he said, I'm fighting. I have been doing this for 4 years now, but I'm getting weary. And I said, son, I am doing the best that I can. I'm trying. I'm contacting every single group. I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing everything because I didn't give birth to this kid, but I love this young man. And I would stand up for anybody that's going through something like this, because it's wrong. And how anybody can go home at the end of the day and know that this is going on and not want to do something about this. I mean, we need an attorney to help us. We need people to help donate money for us to be able to get an attorney to help us. You know, we need help. I mean, I know I have put out a whole lot of money myself financially, and you know, yeah, it's money that's mine. I'll probably never get any of it back, but if I have saved this young man, I've got a jewel in my crown in heaven, because I know I'm doing the right thing. And I'm going to take down anybody that is hurting these people, because it's wrong. You should never be able to walk into somebody's home and take them out just because you have been given that permission by a judge who has never met you, and so they can take all of your money. It is white collar crime at its highest level, and it's illegal, and all of them need to go to jail.
I mean, I would do worse. I mean, all of these people deserve capital punishment because people are dead at what as a result of what they did. And when you're doing these types of things and being with the positions that they're in, that is like an aggravating factor to the highest degree. When you are a judge, you hold the greatest responsibility to maintain law and order, because you decide, I mean, so many things, and they have the power of judgment, and that's rightfully so what they're supposed to have. But they're abusing their power. They're usurping power that they don't have, and then they're protecting themselves. Yeah. They need to get the maximum punishment. Like, I can't stand this. Like, I mean, I've been praying the whole time you're talking. I'm praying because I'm very angry at what I'm seeing. I cannot stand this. It just drives me insane to sit down and see these wicked people get away with this filth in broad daylight.
Yes, absolutely. And I am sure as I start getting these phone calls from people a woman who had 3 children, and they had lived in the town like 4 years, and the husband was cheating, and she got nothing. She didn't even get child support. And I'm like, but that's not the Texas laws. And she goes, tell me about it. But she said, I don't know what it is, but that judge has it out for women. And I'm like, we have rules to go by. They can't just go make them up as they go. How is a woman supposed to take care of three kids with no support whatsoever, not her half of anything, not half the house, not half a car, nothing, zilch. And so I'm getting these phone calls and I'm seeing these things. And I said, look, guys, I appreciate everything that everybody's calling me, because the more that we know, the more that we can protest about this. I said, but my focus right now is getting this young man out of this guardianship, and to let everybody know that this could happen to anybody at any time. And you need to be aware, because it could happen to your parents. It could happen to you. It could happen to your children if there's money involved. And that's the sad thing. If even a trust can't be protected with this.
No, you can't. No, it can't. It doesn't matter what you have. They take your money at any time. The only thing that's going to stop them from doing anything is consequence. That's the only thing. And you're dealing with like the worst kinds of criminals right now. And they, like, people, forget about seeing them in a suit, forget about seeing them in the judge's robe or whatever. They are worse than any person sitting in any prison right now. That's what you're dealing with. And they need to be treated that way. And people need to get that through their skulls, because they're worse because they're pretending to do what's right so that they could go ahead and disadvantage people when they should be protecting people's rights. And that, as far as I'm concerned, there's nobody worse than that. You're like the devil, pretending to be something you're not, and then go ahead and destroy people. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And then have the audacity to go out in public and I'm the judge and I'm this great guy, and let me send out religious messages to everybody on my text message every morning. And I'm thinking, that is so sacrilegious. It is driving me crazy to know that that's what one of the judges is doing. And I said, I wish somebody would just reply back to him going, really? But you're allowing this young man to not have a voice. You're allowing that man, Graham Weston, to have forgiven the city when it was hers, her money. It never should have happened. And by forgiving that note, he got everything.
Is there documentation of this?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It was shown on that video that Wayne Delchifino did. If you watch the rest of that, there is, and Wayne's actually the one that found it. I was told it happened the week after. So I was like, well, that's the reason why all this happened. But Wayne called me and he goes, look, we're looking at the documents right now, and that he had gone to the state of Texas and took her name off as the managing partner of that group and put his name on there. Now, that's really scary because that means I could walk into the state of Texas and go put my name on anything I want.
Oh, yes.
No, you can't do that. But the courts knew when he went in there and he said, all right, I own this. They knew that's not true. It's a small enough town. They knew darn good and well that what was going on. And so these judges, when they found out that a non-suit was done and the whole city was forgiven, I guarantee you the phones were ringing and cheering, and he's our good old boy. Yes, he's getting a divorce, and yeah, we're going to take good care of you, buddy.
That's exactly how
Texas
works.
Justice. Yeah.
The one thing if you can get a copy of those documents, I would love to see them. The other thing is,
yes, sir.
What symptoms does this guy have? From the drugs.
Okay, you talking about Glenn? What symptoms he had before, or what does he have now?
What symptoms does he have now, Glenn, as a result of the drugs? Because the drugs are going to give him symptoms.
Oh, absolutely. Before, he had nothing. I think that he might have had a touch of ADHD. Again, that's 80% of the country has that, but it's not kept him from. He was a champion archer. I mean, we're talking a gold-winning Olympic archer. Yes. All right, so this is not a kid that's not focused or anything. They just said that he was mental. This was his excuse because that way, if he said anything, the father would say, he's been in a mental hospital for years. That's going to be his go-to. That's going to be his reason. But now that Glenn is taking these things, constant throwing up, he has horrible headaches. When they give him the shots, he explains that his skin is so on fire and that he has got pain in his spine so bad that he is having to lay on the floor in pain, and he's screaming. And that's when, he called 911, but they give him these shots, and especially if he fusses and says, look, I'm tired of this. We need to talk. We need to get out of this, whatever. And they immediately run over and give him a shot. And if she has difficulty doing it, they will have people hold him down to do this. I mean, he is trying so hard, but it's to control him. And that's what he has explained. This has been absolutely ridiculous. But now, there's things that happen with his head and stuff that he hears these high-pitched, what he explained like a radio type thing, like talking to him or whatever. We don't know with those cameras in there if what they're doing at night, if they're sending high-pitched things to him or doing whatever to try to make him crazy. We don't know.
Oh, yes. They put out the patents of things that they use to make things sound inside your head. And this was public knowledge. And this is these are things that they do.
The father owned Rackspace Technologies, one of the largest technological designed businesses. I guarantee you everything that goes on, he can know about. At his homes, he has Faraday cages. Now, I know that Elizabeth has said that she has seen on his computer that he was doing business with Russia. And with those Faraday cages, it blocks anybody from able to see what you're doing. So why would somebody have one of those to keep all that information out if you weren't doing something?
Well,
now, I do not know what he's doing, but I do know he has a Faraday cage. But Glenn knows stuff.
Yeah, like I said, my background is mechanical engineering. I'm a technologist. So I understand a lot of the stuff that's going on. And when I sit down and see what they're doing, and I know they're doing something wrong. It's straight out. First of all, yes, you you want to use Faraday cages also to protect certain information for EMPs or certain things like that. But you can also keep, obviously, things out because it protects from a lot of things. And so if you're doing work inside of a Faraday cage, I'm going to be like, well, what are you doing? Right? Because normally people will use it to back up information like drives and so forth. And you put that in there to keep for safekeeping in case something went down, God forbid, then you have something that you can go ahead and just, boot back up once everything was okay. So the whole aspect is the guy's getting symptoms from the drugs that they're giving him. And the drugs that they're giving him are going to make him act in ways where people may say he's crazy because they're like, oh, well, I'm on fire. Like, no, well, you drugged him to make him that way. And they do things like this all the time. And eventually symptoms will occur because you could see when he was drugged, you could see that he's less alert and so forth from the drugs. I used to work when I was younger as a healthcare aide, and I worked in mental facilities. And the people that you saw drooling, they didn't normally drool. They drooled because of the drugs they gave him. And when I saw that, I was like, I never want any of that stuff because I saw what it did to people, right? And where I grew up, the stuff that they're doing now, they couldn't do when I was like younger, because I was like in my early 20s. You couldn't do that kind of stuff. First of all, where I grew up, they didn't grab people and strap them to a bed and drug them against their will. This was usually done for people who were criminals, right? And so now this is just rampant and it's happening everywhere and it needs to stop. The guy's like a young guy, they're destroying his life to protect some criminals. And it's probably because his father, if he goes to jail, will roll over on a lot of other people. This is probably the issue. They're protecting not just him, but they're protecting themselves.
Well, my goal here is I want, now that we know this information about what he did, about gifting, however you want to put it, the city, this forgiveness, which I believe changed things. The judge did not recuse himself. I do not feel like Elizabeth got a fair deal at all, and she's trying to do something about that. I want this young man out of this guardianship, and I want all of this to be investigated because too many people are being hurt that I know personally. And this has got to stop. If we can stop this, then maybe it will stop other companies who are looking at this going, this is a really good racket. I mean, go in and $40,000 a month and, you just give them some pills and shots and send them food. I mean, when Care4 moved them out to the ranch, they sent somebody out there once a week and gave Glen $100 and they would take him to HEB to go shopping. Now, his father is a friggin' billionaire. I can't eat for $100 a week with toiletries and everything else, but that's what they expected him to do. So he had a lot of frozen pizzas and a lot of junk. So they didn't care. And he finally, I think, begged for like $200 worth of stuff. But now they don't even come to take him to HEB because they're fearful that he's going to say something or somebody's going to see him now that all this information's out. They send him food via some sort of delivery service. But he cooks, he cleans, he takes care of himself. He does everything. If he was mental, why is he being allowed to be at a house all by himself 24/7?
No, he's just a prisoner. That's it.
Yeah, he's a prisoner. And they send this guy in, I think his name is Scott, for like 2 hours a week to be his friend. I mean, this is ridiculous. The guy gets there and turns on horror movies. And he tells him, I don't want to see horror movies. I don't like that. I mean, he's a Christian young man. And this guy, Scott, he just sits there, watches a horror movie, and leaves. And that's what they're paying for. That's what they get.
And he's getting paid for it. Right? Like everybody's running off this crazy thing. And they're destroying people's lives in the process. Like this is disgusting. I'm going to ask people that are watching, please share this information. Get this out there. Like, please. I mean, this is absolutely horrendous. I mean, something needs to be done. And I feel sorry for the mother that had to flee because of all of this stuff that was happening, being abused, being destroyed, had her money stolen, had her child stolen, had her child drugged, and I'm sure she wouldn't care about the money if she could have her child back into the situation, because most parents, I know for me, like, with all the stuff that I lost, I'm like, if I had my kid and my kid were fine, I would be okay with that, because at least, you can always get money back, but you can't get back the damage that was done to your children, right? Like, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, oh God, this is one of the hardest things to see, because I see that they don't care about human life. They're willing to destroy anybody for money, and this tells you something. If they're willing to do this, they're willing to do anything. This is what people have to understand. The people that are doing this, this is not just, oh, well, they just did a one-off case. This is how organized crime operates. This is exactly how it operates. And it needs to be stopped, and it needs to be rooted out. There's no, oh, we're just going to, they all need to go, because the government filled with them. That's the problem.
Sadly, it's all about money. It's about money, 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 and everybody getting paid off at every single level. And they just take somebody and just abuse the whole entire thing, because none of these people that they've picked up were broke. I mean, all of these people had money, and they zero in on them and they milk it for everything. And we need help. I mean, we need attorneys. I need people who are in the courts, not necessarily like people of justice courts. I need help. I need help saving this young man. This mom has had to go into hiding. I have no idea where she is. I would get a call from her occasionally from a different number just for her to call in. I am trying to be the good friend and be there for her, because I see what's happening, and she's fearful, and she's fearful for her life and also for her son. And I told her, just like on an airplane, they tell you, put the mask on yourself before you put it on your child, because if you go down, you can't save your child. And this has worn her out big time. And the last time that was videoed, I mean, she was so elated to see her son, and then she flew right back just hours after that. And it just broke her heart to see him like that. And when I saw her, I said, you know what? I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to get on everything I possibly can and speak on your behalf, because this way Graham can't come after her. He can come after me, but all this is the truth. Everything I have said is in court documents and can be proven. It is the truth, and the truth needs to come out. And if there's anybody out there that can help us, whether it be financially, legally, whatever, please get in contact with me, because this is huge, and we don't want this to go on anymore, because people are worth saving.
Oh yes, I agree, and I'm going to tell people, like, do whatever you can to help, because if you think that this can't happen to you, or it's not happening in your area, you're deceiving yourself, because this is happening all over the place. And the world that you thought you grew up in is not the world that it was, because the people here, criminals, are ruling over us. And that is the only thing that you can conclude of, if they're doing this at the highest levels. And then when they do their wickedness, they get promoted to a higher position. They're getting thanked for doing their evil. And that can't happen. Before we close out here, I want you to just, how can people reach you and so forth? And what do you want to say to the people about this situation? I know you went over some stuff, but just.
You can contact me, Miss Ruby Unfiltered @gmail.com. I have a YouTube page now, Miss Ruby Unfiltered. And on my Facebook, it's also Miss Ruby Unfiltered. You can reach me that way. Any help that anybody can provide, I would really appreciate. Like I said, this is not small thing to do. This is going to have to be a big accomplishment for us to get things investigated. If there's investigators out there that can help us, I would really appreciate it, because there are so many things that have happened through this court and these courthouses and these judges, and things changed on paperwork from time-stamp dated, everything. There is just crooked all the way down, and it needs to be investigated, because I live in a very sweet town, but it's being corrupted in the worst way. And to know that everybody's okay with the 29-year-old being held, kidnapped, it's horrible. And I don't know how anybody can go to church, sit there, pray to God, and then walk out and not think about this young man. It is really bad. But please contact me, and it's MISSRUBY unfiltered at gmail.com. And I really do appreciate anything that anybody can offer, and especially prayers, because I'm very faithful. So is he. And when we get this recorded, I'm going to send it to him and let him know that, we're still trying. We've had 125,000 views on the video that Wayne Del Chapino did. Please go to Del Chapino Media on Facebook, watch that video, send that video out, let people know what's happening. We have got to spread the news of this, because that's the only way we're going to prevent this from happening even more.
Yes, and I agree. And we need to make sure that action is taken and that people get consequences for their actions, because at the end of the day, evil prevails when good men do nothing. And the Bible tells Christians you have to ensure that judgment is done in the gate. And that means the court system. The gate in Israel was where the court took place. And they tell you why, because when you don't, then the land becomes filled with violence, because it's lawlessness, because there's no justice. And this is what's happening. And the court systems have to be restored, because without the court system, you're going to have pure lawlessness. And that's what we're seeing right now, where you can steal somebody's child, rug them up, keep them as a prisoner, using the force of the state to steal everything they have and to protect criminal enterprises. That's insane. That's God's not that. This is the kind of stuff that brings down the judgment of God, and by all means, they need to get it right. And so I'm going to close here with a prayer, because we need some prayer and we need people to stand up. Heavenly Father, Lord.
Well, before you pray.
Yes. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to tell you, thank you. I want to tell you before we pray, thank you so much for allowing me to come on here and explain this story. I appreciate everything that you're doing, because without your voice bringing this to the people, I appreciate everything that you do. And I can't say thank you enough. And I'm going to say thank you for Glen as well. And yes, we're going to definitely close this in prayer. And I appreciate everything.
You're welcome. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, your grace, and mercy. And Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to call upon your name. And Father, coming to say with this horrendous situation that has gone on with Glen and his mother and his family, and the wickedness and the evil that is being done. And Father, I ask of you this day to bless Miss Ruby and the work she's doing and those who are helping her. And Lord, I ask of you this day to watch over all the people who are trying to stand up for what is right, and bring the men and the women to come together to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, and our nation. And Lord, to protect the children and to deal with these evil people who are doing this filthy wickedness, and that bring them to justice, that we could have some protection for our children until we see you coming in the clouds, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you guys all for coming, and we will see you guys again next time.